Title: The Lost Broadcast. In the quiet town of Harrington Falls, a long-abandoned television station loomed at the edge of town. It was a sagging relic, its windows broken, and its sign flickering sporadically with the letters, WZHD. Most of the townsfolk considered it doomed, a leftover from the past that should have been left to rot. However, for Jamie, an aspiring filmmaker with a fascination for the supernatural, it represented something more, a mystery waiting to be unraveled. As kids, Jamie and her friends used to dare each other to venture near the station, whispering tales of ghostly hosts and the cursed episodes that were never aired. But as she grew older, the tales transformed into mere nuisances, youthful fabrications inspired by weekend horror flicks. Yet curiosity gnawed at her, and it wasn't long before Jamie decided to explore the building, armed with little more than a flashlight, her camera, and a backpack filled with snacks. The entrance creaked ominously as Jamie stepped inside, the stale air wrapping around her like a damp blanket. Dust danced in the beam of her light, and faint whispers echoed as she traversed the narrow hallway lined with ancient posters of forgotten television shows, each depicting ghoulish characters in eerie settings. Jamie's heart raced with both excitement and dread, but she pressed on, her camera rolling to capture every moment. In the dim room of the studio, her flashlight flickered across the walls. There was little left but cracked screens and scattered equipment. Yet in the corner sat an untouched pedestal adorned with a single television set. It flickered to life, seemingly on its own, revealing a static crackled screen that shifted to grainy images. An unsettling chill danced down Jamie's spine as she recognized one of the characters, a familiar face from a horror series that had been canceled long ago due to a series of unexplained accidents on set. The show had a cult following, with fans speculating that unseen forces haunted the production. Jamie's fingers trembled as she pressed record, capturing the images of actors she once admired, all appearing frozen in eerie smiles that seemed to beckon her closer. Suddenly, the screen distorted with a shriek that echoed through the empty halls. Jamie stumbled backward, her breath catching in her throat. Shadows coalesced in the corners of her vision, but she couldn't tear her eyes away from the screen. A voice broke through the static, low and raspy, like a death rattle. "You shouldn't have come here." Quote. Panic surged through her veins as she turned to flee, but the door she entered through slammed shut. Her heart pounded as she pounded on the door, the breath of something foul hot against her back. She turned again, and the screen flickered, revealing the actors once more, but this time their faces twisted in agony, pleading for her help, or was it a warning? The message was unmistakable. There were unseen horrors trapped within this station, the reason those episodes had never reached an audience. They were not just lost broadcasts, they were some kind of dark prison, and Jamie had unwittingly stumbled into their world. Desperation clawed at her mind. She managed to latch onto a tattered notebook resting beside the television. Leafing through, the pages narrated the history of the show and the fateful last episode that was never aired. Each entry grew darker, recounting cast members' strange disappearances, crew members turning insane, and strange, transdimensional beings that leaked through when the cameras rolled. The whispers swelled ominously. "Join us," they beckoned. "We're waiting." Quote. With a surge of adrenaline, Jamie pressed a button on the camera, capturing the entire scene. A bright flash illuminated the studio, and for a split second, she saw their faces, the trapped souls who had once been legends but were now mere echoes of horror. They were reaching toward her, their eyes hollow but pleading. She had to escape. Fighting the panicked shadows rising from the depths of the studio, she hurled herself at the door. It opened, and she tumbled into the hallway. She could feel the chill of their presence clawing at her heels as she sprinted for the exit. Bursting into the daylight, Jamie felt the warmth on her skin and the cool air fill her lungs. She ran until she reached her car, fumbling for the keys as her heart hammered painfully in her chest. But the whispers still lingered, echoing in her mind. Once safely home, Jamie buried the camera deep in her closet, the footage haunting her nights with unspeakable terrors. Months later, she worked tirelessly to edit her film, desperate to tell the story, hoping that it would serve as a warning. It took years, but finally, with a mix of trepidation and resolve, she found a producer willing to turn her footage into a feature-length film. The premiere night arrived. Dread coiling in her stomach, Jamie sat in the back, watching the screen flicker to life. But the moment the haunting images played, chaos erupted. The theater dimmed, whispers enveloping the audience, faces twisting in terror, her worst fears manifesting in an all-too-real scenario. All at once, the screen exploded with static, a cacophony as the air thickened with a palpable evil. "You brought us here," the voices screamed, echoing Jamie's own panic. As the lights went out entirely, Jamie understood. She hadn't merely screened the shadows, she had cast the spell anew. Now, entwined in the web of their rage and despair, she felt their cold grasp envelop her, and as the echoes of laughter filled the silent theater, she understood she was no longer just a filmmaker, she was part of the lost broadcast, forever trapped in the show that should have never been aired.